I report an issue to? Hi, this is Lindy with ClearanceJobs.com. In the wake of the Jake Teixeira leaks, certainly highlighted the need for reporting issues. A lot of questions come up often about who do I actually report security issues to. In the case of Teixeira, it certainly came out that in many cases, folks were reporting things, but there was a bit of an inconsistency in the enforcement of what was being reported. Also, there were many coworkers who certainly said they were afraid, did not want to get Teixeira in trouble for what happened. Washington Post and Frontline did a great kind of deep dive into the Teixeira case. In the wake of that, the Air Force released some information about 15 individuals actually who were reprimanded in conjunction with that. But I think it's a good time for a reminder that if you have a security clearance, you actually have both self-reporting guidelines on what you have to report for yourself, but also the obligation to report things. So again, in the Teixeira case and the Manning case, we see kind of examples of how those reporting kind of failures happen. Now, in the case of Teixeira, it sounds like there were some folks who saw something and said something, but the actual enforcement of taking away access in response to that didn't necessarily happen. We do get the question often at ClearanceJobs, hey, who do I actually report things to? You should report issues to your security officer. So whether it's yourself, hey, got a little DUI over the holidays, had an incident come up, have some financial issues, you need to report those to your security officer. If you don't know who that person is, start with HR. Hopefully you have some person there and they can direct you to the right person. I find in some offices it's kind of ambiguous. You have like a human resources department. Maybe there is a security officer sitting at a desk or assigned to those things. You have an FSO if you're in industry. But it's not necessarily always clear cut for individuals, especially for contractors who are working on a government site. You might see something a government coworker is doing. We're going to share a case, a service member. You're going to want to report that actually to the security officer that's assigned to your government office or unit. Now, for top cover for yourself, you might want to also report that back to your contractor FSO or the FSO that you work with for your clearance eligibility. But the person that's going to have the best visibility to do something about that is going to be sitting actually in that government site. And again, I always say we shouldn't be concerned about a report actually resulting in clearance denial and revocation. We see that coming up with the continuous vetting. There are a lot of alerts, a huge increase in alerts as more people get enrolled in that. That's not necessarily causing more clearance denials and revocations per se, because those alerts are just getting investigated. So it's triggering somebody looking into this saying, hey, is this actionable? Is this relevant first off? If it's not, nothing goes further. If it is actionable and relevant, then it just gets assigned somebody to look into it and say, hey, is this an issue? Again, a DUI is something that's going to get flagged. Credit issues could get flagged under continuous vetting. They're just going to look into that. So you're not actually hurting somebody's job prospects by reporting something. There are mechanisms to ensure that that doesn't happen. We're being a lot more proactive. And you even see in the Teixeira case, a lot of things were reported. He didn't lose his eligibility. So we kind of are, right now, probably their pendulum needs to swing a little bit. So we're actually doing more to potentially temporarily remove eligibility or create probationary periods where people address issues. We certainly have that with kind of the clearance process where we can have kind of probationary clearances. Maybe better need to do that for folks who are already cleared, who have issues that come up. Again, I think a lot of that will be talked about as we move forward in the next year, kind of reforms that are a response to the Teixeira case. But for now, definitely report things to your security officer. It is a positive, proactive function, and no, it will not, immediately cause somebody to lose their clearance eligibility because you report something that you know or see. It's just going to trigger, hey, we need to look into this a little bit more. Who is the person that you report that to? Your security officer for yourself, or the security officer assigned to your office if you're reporting on a coworker or something that you see in the office. Separate than whistleblowers, separate than GAO, so many different pieces here, but it's very much a reporting to your security officer if you see something from a security perspective. I think there's more of a need to do this for scale, to have like a general inbox through DCSA or through IMBIS. I think there are some plans to potentially do that, but for now, again, reporting to your security officer. I obviously creating a paper trail is helpful. So just emailing, putting it in writing that, hey, I did report this, especially if it's something for yourself. You're going to want to be able to document that I did in fact report it. Don't just swing by the desk and say, hey, got a DUI this weekend. Sorry, you're going to want to put it in writing to verify that you did report it yourself, because again, the government is going to be able to find out about it through continuous vetting. So for more on self-reporting guidelines, for more on how to report security things, and also just more about the security function, visit us over at ClearanceJobs.com.